Where'd your name come from?
Well, you know, the name come from my brand that I had, you know what I'm saying? I started it when I was like 15, you know, Fastlife, you know, and it basically because I was moving real fast, you know what I'm talking about? So, you know, that's where I got the name from, Fastlife, and the DC came from, you know, I'm talking about the D stand for Daddy, the C stand for Cam. I used to be Fastlife Cam, you know what I'm talking about? But then, you know, I just put the DC on it just to, you know, give some more shit to it.
All right, now where are you from?
From Memphis, Tennessee.
Still living there?
Nope. Stay in Phoenix now, but you know, definitely home.
Even though you're in Phoenix, do you still visit Memphis?
Yeah, I'll be back and forth. I got a son out there, you know what I'm saying? So I be there as much as I can be, you know.
How long have you been in Phoenix for?
Been in Phoenix about 2 years, but you know, I've been out the city for about 5. You know, I was in Texas for the 3 years before that, so you know.
So how long would you say were you living in Memphis for?
18 years. When I turned 18, I was up out of that motherfucker.
Now, what's your opinion of the state of rap music in Memphis?
Oh man, it's live. You know what I'm saying? Like I feel like Memphis is getting its turn, you know, and especially with the Moneybag Yos and the you know, man, it's Black Youngster and you know, they definitely putting on, man, doing what they supposed to be doing. So you know, it's our turn.
Give me a tour of the city of Memphis for someone that's never been there before. Start with the food. Favorite food spot in the city?
Favorite food spot in the city? Man, it used to be Ching's Hot Wings. You know what I'm talking about? Ching's Hot Wings on Goodwill. You know, they always got the best wings in the city. Man, trying to think, man. It's a soul food spot, man. I can't even think of that motherfucker. Yeah, man, Southern Hands, soul food, yeah.
Now, what do you order from each? What do you order from Ching's? What do you order from Southern Hands?
Ching's, I get the lemon pepper mixed with the hot and spicy. Hold on, damn, I'm tripping. I get the lemon pepper, you know, I'm talking about lemon pepper and honey gold, you know, every time I go. You know, I'm talking about Southern Hands, just catfish and macaroni. They got the best. Check it out.
Now, what about the nightlife in Memphis? Favorite strip club in the city?
Well, shit, it's only 3 of them motherfuckers, you know what I'm talking about. So probably, you know, man, I really don't be doing the hip-hop clubs when I do go to the strip clubs. So probably the Pony, the Gold Club, some shit like that, man, you know. Some snow at.
For someone that's never been to Memphis, are the strip clubs out there, are the women topless or full nude? What is it out there?
No, they ain't full nude. They just topless, you know what I'm talking about, out there in Memphis, you know. Just topless.
Now, what about the nightlife, as far as regular clubs? Favorite regular club in the city?
And like I said, I ain't stayed in Memphis since 18, so probably.
But you still go back and forth, right?
Right, yeah.
You might be familiar with some names.
And it's crazy, man, because the owners in Memphis, man, they never keep a club long enough to keep the same name. You know what I'm talking about? You might have one club that changed names 4 or 5 times. So you know, I would say growing up was like level 2. You know what I'm talking about? Level 2 was always the spot to go to, you know what I'm saying? Especially when you had your fit right and you know, everything going good, man, level 2. But you know, one of the hooder spots used to be Cactus Jack, man, you know. Crazy memories of Cactus Jack, man.
Now, we talked about the food, we talked about the nightlife.
Mm-hmm.
Anything else you recommend someone see, do, or visit when they're in the city of the M-Town?
Man, you gotta go downtown. You know what I'm talking about. You gotta go to Bill Street. You know, they got Graceland out there. You know what I'm talking about. So you can go check out Elvis' house. You know, there's definitely some attractions in Memphis, man. You know, just be careful.
What about the lingo? What are some terms or some phrases one might hear in the city of Memphis right about now?
Man, hey man, say man, you know what I'm talking about, all that shit, you know. Y'all know what's going on, man. You know what I'm talking about, all that shit, you know. Country is a motherfucker.
Now, what about as far as events? What are some events you might recommend someone to come to Memphis specifically for? Like, for example, in New Orleans, Mardi Gras is like a big ordeal out there. Anything you recommend someone come to Memphis specifically for?
You know, in May they do the Memphis in May shit, you know what I'm talking about. They got a little parade downtown, it'd be cool, you know what I'm saying. And Africa in April should be cool too, so. You know, May and April, you know what I'm talking about, got some cool events.
What are those types of events? Can you describe them a little bit to us?
The African in April is just, you know, I'm talking about showing the African culture, you know what I'm saying? Doing little shit, you know, little stands, little booths, little shit like that, you know what I'm talking about? Fun to see, you know, the Memphis and May shit is just the same thing, like a big ass carnival, you know what I'm talking about? Just parlaying and campaigning.
Now, I'm not going to lie to you. I think you're probably the first person on the white couch with a suit on, with a jacket on.
Okay, that.
Why the jacket today? You could have worn anything in your closet. Why the jacket today?
Man, to be honest with you, man, you know, if it was up to me, man, I'd wear this shit, man, 7 days a week. You know what I'm talking about? And, you know, for me, it's just, you know, the first impression is always the most important impression. You know what I'm talking about? And it ain't no possible way you can come cleaner than a nigga wearing a suit. You know what I'm talking about? Especially me, so, you know. That's where I get it from. You know what I'm talking about? I've been wearing suits, man. I really just started suiting up, man, about a year ago. You know what I'm talking about? But, you know, man, you know, I used to do the designers, all that shit. You know what I'm talking about? Red bottom down, Robin jeans, all that shit, man. But, you know, man, when I first put on a suit, yeah, man, it changed my life, man, you know.
Now, your first suit, what was your first suit for? Why'd you put on your first suit? What made you switch up your style from the Robin jeans and red bottoms to the suit?
Because in the game I was in and the hustle I was in, it's just like, you know, it's so saturated that everybody trying to look the same, everybody trying to talk the same. You know what I'm saying? And I always felt like I was setting trends with that shit. I feel like I turned my whole city out. You know what I'm talking about? I got everybody trying. So you know, for me it was just like, you know, all right, they taking your style, babe. It's time to switch it up. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, man, y'all take these suits, man. You know, we just gonna have to be in them together. You know what I'm saying?
Now, we can't really see the pants or the shoes you got on, but just explain what you're wearing. What kind of suit that is? What kind of pants you got on? Kind of, you know.
Yeah, well, the suit came from Zara. The shoes is Ferragamo. You know, the accessory, you know, belt is Versace. Yeah, man, you know.
The glasses?
The glasses Cartier. You know what I'm talking about, you know. Yeah, man, you know. And then another reason I be wearing these suits, man, is because, you know, I'm having all this money, you know what I'm talking about, but I still go up in the building, you know what I'm talking about, with them white folks, and they'll still be looking at me crazy. You know what I'm saying? So I just wanted to be presentable, you know what I'm saying, too. You know, I wanted to, when you see me, I wanted to look like business, you know, mean business when you see me. So, you know, that's another reason why I transitioned into, you know, elevating my wardrobe.
Let's talk about your upbringing a little bit. What was it like growing up in the city of Memphis for you?
Well, for me, it was cool. You know what I'm talking about? You know, my folks, you know, literally taught me the definition of staying down to come up. You know what I'm talking about? When I say that, you know, I was born in South Memphis. You know what I'm talking about? I was born in South Memphis. You know, folks started getting a little money, then we moved to East Memphis. You know, they got a little bit more money than we moved to Collierville. You know what I'm talking about? So it was cool for me, man. You know what I'm talking about?
Now, what about school-wise? What type of student were you in school?
I was bad as hell, you know what I'm saying? I got kicked out of all public schools in the 9th grade, you know, and I went to alternative school for like a year. And then, you know, I tried to get back in public school the next year, and they didn't let me get back in there, you know what I'm saying? So basically, you know, it was one school that was letting me. It was a school out there in Whitehaven called Bishop Burns. You know, they let me enroll, and, you know, it really changed my, you know, way of thinking, you know what I'm talking about, because Bishop Burns is actually like it's like a Catholic school in the hood, you know what I'm talking about? So it gave a nigga the upbringing to have the best of both worlds, you know what I'm talking about? Because Memphis is really one world. Bad as a motherfucker.
Now, did you graduate high school?
Graduate. Mm-hmm.
What about college? Tried college?
Man, I tried college for a semester, man, and you know, I went for business, and after that semester, I felt like I had the key to life, you know what I'm talking about? So I left after that, you know.
So you quit, basically dropped out?
Yeah, but you know, when I dropped out, I went and bought my own studio, because my partners was rapping and shit, you know what I'm talking about? So I went and bought my own studio and set that up, and I was making money out there while I was going to school. So, you know, that was another reason why I stopped that shit.
Now, there's different opinions about college. Some people say, you know, go to college. Other people say you don't need college, maybe a trade school. Some people have dropped out of college like you just mentioned, and have become very successful, like a Kanye West or a Bill Gates. Some people go to college, get a degree, and don't even get a job they got the degree in that they went to school for 4 years for. What do you say about college? To someone watching this interview, thinking about enrolling, what's your advice to them?
I mean, well, first of all, college definitely ain't for everybody. You know what I'm saying? I feel like, you know, if you want to go work for somebody, you know what I'm saying, and do stuff like that, you know, and have the average normal, you know, ain't nothing wrong with average or normal, first of all, but, you know, have the average normal life. That's what college is for. But I feel like if you want to be an entrepreneur, you know what I'm saying, you should go head first instead of, you know, paying somebody to put you in debt, you know what I'm talking about, so you never really get that opportunity, you know, until you're old as fuck.
If you could go back in time, would you have done that semester or continued college, or would you have not even gone at all?
You know, I feel like it definitely did teach me, you know, because being from Memphis, it gave me a bigger, you know, perspective of the world. You know what I'm talking about? I went to Tennessee State, you know, it was in Nashville, it was still in Tennessee, but it was people from all over. You know, back in Memphis, man, I felt like I was the, you know, only one doing it for a little bit, you know what I'm talking about, because the city's so small, you know what I'm saying? I thought I was getting the most money, I had the flyest clothes, and then, you know, motherfuckers from Chicago wearing these designers and shit I'd never seen before. So, you know, it expanded my mind. So, you know, I definitely don't regret it, but would I go do it again? Probably not.
Jobs you had growing up, if any?
Man, when I was 15, I worked at Kroger for like 2 months, you know what I'm talking about, and that shit didn't work out, you know what I'm saying? Then I had another little gig, man, it was some little restaurant, I want to say, you know, crazy, I can't even think about it, some local restaurant, you know what I'm talking about, but yeah, that's about it.
Quit or got fired from these jobs?
Man, I got fired, man, they was hating on me, you know what I'm talking about, I didn't even do shit, they was hating.
What'd you get fired for?
Well, my first job said that, you know, they was just said I was always too late, you know what I'm talking about, but second job, me and the manager just didn't see eye to eye.
Any crazy stories dealing with any of those jobs you just mentioned?
Other than me getting fired, hell no, you know, fuck no.
What's the worst thing you put your parents through?
Man, going to jail, you know. When I got kicked out of school, like I was telling you about, you know what I'm talking about, they ended up taking me to jail. And it was so crazy because, you know, I was doing so much shit, you know what I'm talking about. It was surprising that it was my first time going to jail, but the shit that I went to jail for, I didn't even do. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, at 15, I was on house arrest, you know, kicked out of school, you know what I'm talking about, you know. And at the time, man, my folks like, what the fuck, you know, because they had me in, you know, in what they felt like was a good environment, so they just didn't understand. But that was just me going through my shit, my street shit.
So jail, not prison time?
No. It was like juvenile. Never been to prison.
How long were you under house arrest for?
I was under house arrest for like 4 months, 5 months.
Now, what's your message to the youth?
To the youth, get out and see the world. You know what I'm saying? You know, sometimes you know, money isn't really everything. It's about what you go see and what you go do. You know what I'm talking about? Because that shit be better than money. You know, and not only does it be better than money, it also teach you how to get money. So, you know, I feel like, you know, get out and see the world, man. You know what I'm talking about? Don't be small-minded and feel like, man, the hood is the only place a nigga can, you know, win at. Because, you know, in reality, man, if you stay down, you will always come up. You did.
Let's talk about rap music for a little bit.
Okay.
How did you get into rap music?
Well, you know, my partners was rapping first. You know what I'm talking about? So when I found out my partners wanted to rap, I went and bought a studio. And I bought a studio in Nashville. You know what I'm talking about? Set it up, and you know, shit. After I seen them do it, I said, hey man, you know, not only can I do it, I think I can do it a little bit better than you guys. So, you know, started doing it myself, and you know, now we here.
What age do you think that was?
I bought my first studio at 18. And then I bought it there. Then I had a studio in Nashville, then in Memphis as well. So, you know, about 18.
So, how many years would you say you've been perfecting your craft for?
to be honest, I would say that this has been the first year that I really, developed a real passion for it, you know what I'm saying? Because I've always, been so caught up in the money, getting my money and getting my paper that I really never had a real passion for it. I would get on the track and every now and then, I'm talking about, but I wouldn't say I was perfecting my craft because I really didn't care too much about it. But now that I see, hey man, I'm building a fan base and I'm got people that are really dependent on me and really pushing for me. So, this year has been the year that I really, feel like I'm developing the craft.
Who are some of your influences, if any?
I would say Yo Gotti, of course, being from Memphis, you know what I'm saying? Yo Gotti, Gucci Mane, of course, and my youngest influence is Chief Keef. That's actually my favorite rapper, I'm talking about Chief Keef. And, that's just because, how he came, I'm talking about changed the whole game, got everybody saying, gang, gang, and bang, bang, and all type of thought and all that shit, I'm talking about young nigga, man, So, that's one of my favorite rappers, favorite influences, probably.
Do you remember your first rap or what you were rapping about back then when you were 18?
Yeah, just money and bitches. You know what I'm talking about? Same shit I rap about now.
When it comes to the music industry,
yeah,
what bothers you the most about it at this point, if anything? What's your biggest pet peeve with it?
My biggest pet peeve with the music industry is that it's so easy to pass along a fake lifestyle. You know what I'm saying? And I guess that it's just entertainment. You know what I'm saying? But it's just so easy for somebody to portray something that they're not. You know what I'm talking about? And with that being said, it'd be people getting into situations that they rap about that, they don't have no idea about their lifestyle, so kind of blow up in their face, and when it blow up in their face, they be the, laughing stock of the industry, you know what I'm talking about? So it's just about people not being themselves, you know what I'm talking about?
When it comes to people not being themselves, what would you say that ratio is? Real versus people not being themselves, if you could estimate it.
Well, I think it's like the what they say like 10% runs 90% of the world, you know what I'm talking about? And I feel like it's the same with the rap game, maybe 10% is real and authentic, and the ones that's real and authentic, they is going through being real and authentic by jail and shit like that, you know what I'm talking about? So, it got its goods and bads, but it's just,
Top 3 things you need in the studio.
Top 3 things I need in the studio: weed. I'm talking about.
Which strain?
Man, I was gonna say I need some Hennessy, man, but yeah, I can't be doing that shit no more, man. Get too turned up in that motherfucker. Just weed, just weed, maybe a little Hennessy in my iPhone. That's all I need. You know what I'm talking about?
Which strain of weed?
OG.
Craziest studio story, if you have one.
Craziest studio story. Man, shit. I was recording my track or whatever. I'm talking about, and my partner. I thought he was recording me. You know what I'm saying? And I've been rapping like a motherfucker for, I want to say, 30 minutes to an hour. You know what I'm talking about? He ain't even recording me. He in the back fucking some bitch. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, that was one of the craziest things that happened to me. But
were you upset?
Hell yeah, I was rapping like a motherfucker, you know what I'm talking about? And this was when I was just started rapping. I thought I was doing something, and then I used to just freestyle, you know what I'm talking about? I be trying to write my shit now, man, because, I don't know, I think I'm finna go back to freestyle. I really don't like that writing shit. But yeah, man, when I used to freestyle, man, shit, it was fucking me up because I didn't remember what the fuck I said, you know what I'm saying? So, yeah, man, a little upset, but I guess I couldn't blame them.
Has there been any beat that you passed on that became big for somebody else?
Any beat that I passed on? No.
What's the realest song you ever wrote so far in your whole catalog of music?
The realest song I've ever wrote, I would say is...
Or spoke, because you said you freestyle too, so. Realest song you ever wrote or spoke in your whole catalog of music?
Man, I'm gonna say all of them, because I would say, I'm talking about, everything I say is real. Everything I say I've been through, you know what I'm talking about, and everything I'm talking about still going on. So, you know, I'm gonna say everything. You know what I'm talking about? I ain't got that big of a catalog, but everything I done wrote and everything I done rapped about, you know what I'm talking about, it's been 100% authentic.
But what's the realest out of all the records? What's just one record you say, oh man, this is...
Game for Sale. Game for Sale is the
And
realest.
What's that about?
You know, it's basically what it's saying. You know what I'm talking about? I got game for sale. You know what I'm talking about? And I don't need a scale. You know what I'm talking about? Need a team that's going to listen and it ain't going to tell. So, you know, game for sale.
Risk versus reward. What's the biggest risk you took for your music career so far?
Risk I took, a risk I'm taking, goddammit. But shit, I'm gonna say the biggest risk, matter of fact, the biggest risk I done took with this music shit has been investing in other people instead of investing in myself. You know what I'm saying? You know, like I said, I never really had that passion like I have for it now. You know what I'm saying? But I always liked the business. That's why I went and bought the studio. That's why I went and did a lot of stuff with my money. You know what I'm saying? But the biggest risk that I took was spending thousands and thousands on other artists instead of myself. You know what I'm saying?
What's the biggest misconception of you?
The biggest misconception of me is that I'm just a big old pimp and I misuse girls and I just take advantage of females for their money, I guess, but in reality, man, I'm changing lives around this motherfucker, man, ask the bitch.
Craziest rumor you heard about yourself?
Damn, man, I done heard all type of weird ass shit, you know what I'm talking about. I done heard me pimping on bitches that I had never seen before, you know what I'm saying? Me, I done had one a nigga that used to be my partner. He was going around the city talking about I'm trying to get him killed and shit. You know, I'm talking about like if I was trying to do something like it wouldn't have been done. You know what I'm saying? But that was about the crazy shit.
Do you care what people think about you?
No, not anymore. You know what I'm saying? I think I used to care a little bit too much. You know what I'm talking about? But hell no, not anymore. I ain't focused on nothing that ain't focused on me.
What are your keys to success?
Staying down till you come up. You know what I'm talking about? Shit, if you got your mind to it, man, and you put a formula together, man, a program together, you gonna accomplish whatever you put your mind to,